I don't know if you noticed, but recently, 3 big movies that have absolutely nothing in common were released in theaters. Those films are Minions and Monsters, Evil Dead Burn, and the live-action Moana remake. And to be honest, I don't think any of these films really warrant a solo review, but what if I were to squish them all together? Minions and Evil Dead, Monsters, Burn, Moana. Good enough. Now one by one I'm gonna give each film a brief review. Feel free to skip around using the timestamps. But before I continue, feel free to subscribe if you enjoy this video. I would appreciate it so much. Minions and Monsters is the 7th installment in the Despicable Me franchise, and to be honest, I went into this film with rock bottom expectations. Because while I do have a lot of nostalgia for this franchise, I don't actually think any of these films are very good, except for the first Despicable Me. And besides, this is Illumination we're talking about, they do not make good films. But to be honest, I actually ended up having a good experience with Minions and Monsters. Not because it's a well-written film or anything, but because it's really funny. Simple as that. And I don't normally think Minions are particularly funny, but this film totally gets them. The slapstick and the visual gags in general are so out there and absurd, I couldn't help but laugh. Sure, it's extremely childish, but it's also creative, unlike the earlier Minions films. Many of the visual gags completely caught me off guard, creating a sense of unpredictability. And it's not just the Minions who provide comedy, it's the other characters too, such as the movie director played by Christoph Waltz, or Dort played by Jesse Eisenberg. This is important because while the Minions can be funny, they can also get repetitive. But that's not to say this film never gets stale. I do think around the 60-minute mark I was kinda ready for the movie to end. But hey, 60 minutes of entertainment is a huge accomplishment for a Minions movie. Usually these movies get stale after the 5-minute mark. So to say the least, it's a noticeable improvement, but still not a film I would consider great by any means. It's the definition of dumb fun, and I sincerely hope the franchise continues moving in this direction, which is why I'm giving this one a solid 5 out of 10. Trust me, that's way higher than I was expecting. Next up we have Evil Dead Burn. Now, I actually haven't seen any of the Evil Dead films that came before this. It's one of my biggest cinematic blind spots. So there's definitely some context I'm missing, but nevertheless, I enjoyed this film a lot. While I'm not familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, I am familiar with Sam Raimi. And this film feels like something Sam Raimi could have directed. The camera work is incredibly impressive, always capturing the action from a unique perspective. And the transitions are absolutely insane. There's a twerking transition early on in the film that almost made me burst out into laughter. Brilliant stuff, but of course the main focus of the film is the gore. It requires a sick imagination to come up with some of this stuff, and I'm here for it. The gore isn't realistic, but that's not the point. It's meant to be over the top. It's meant to make you laugh and cringe at the same time. And if you ask me, mission accomplished. But let's not get it twisted, this film does have some flaws. For one, the runtime is way too excessive. If you ask me, this should have been an 85-minute film. Cause at a certain point, I felt like the film had nothing more to accomplish. I love the gore and camera work, but that can only carry a film so far. And in my opinion, 85 minutes would have been perfect for what this film is trying to be. Instead, it's nearly 2 hours long, and I'm afraid this film doesn't really justify its runtime. The characters are fine, but very basic. The writing is serviceable, but not enough to carry this runtime. The plot only really exists to set up the action. That's about it. And all of this would be fine if the runtime was just a bit shorter, but unfortunately, this film does overstay its welcome. But overall, I do still think it's a good movie, just not great. The first hour or so had me fully invested, and the rest of the film also had its moments. By then, I was just less invested. But I was never fully checked out or anything. The visuals are good, the music is good, the acting is good. It's a solid film, which is why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I look forward to checking out the previous installments of this franchise. Okay, now it's time to talk about the live-action Moana. It's terrible. It's garbage. Maybe even the worst film of the year, but it's tough to say because there's a lot of competition. There's not a single positive thing I can say about this film. The story is essentially identical to the animated film. I believe the songs are the same, the characters are the same. This remake adds nothing of substance to the original. The only reason it was made was to make money, and I hope it fails miserably. There's not a single reason to ever watch this film over the original, and I'm not even a big fan of the original, but this one is so much worse. And the reasons are the exact same as they are for every other live-action remake. These stories were made to be told through animation. They simply don't work in live action, especially when better versions of these films already exist in an animated format. So I beg the question, why would you ever watch the live action Moana instead of the original, outside of just curiosity? My reason is because I enjoy subjecting myself to pain. What's your reason? But in all seriousness, movies like this are hard to review, because what am I even supposed to say? It's just Moana, but worse. In fact, I would argue this might just be the most uninspired out of all the Disney live-action remakes. There's nothing to talk about. Like seriously, look at a list of every live-action Disney remake. They all have something about them that's worth discussing. Of course, none of them are good things, but at least there's something to talk about. But Moana has nothing. It's inoffensive, which in and of itself is offensive to me. It wasted my time, which is why I'm giving it a 1 out of 10. There you have it, folks. That's my review for Minions and Evil Dead Monsters Burn Moana. I can't wait for this video to get 0 views, cause who on earth would click on a title like that? Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.